ask you about AFSPA. What we have is now a situation where there are pockets of Manipur that don't have AFSPA. The army explains, and I'm saying this in very layperson language so a general audience can also understand. The army explains, therefore, that it needs to move operationally with a magistrate because it doesn't have legal cover and there aren't enough judicial magistrates. If this crisis is not contained soon, does the army urgently need the AFSPA cover?
Well, certainly it does, because I mean, this is why ASPA was there in the first place. If you remember all that trouble around the Kangla Fort, the Assam Rifles earlier used to be based in Kangla Fort. And at that time, when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had visited Manipur or something, there'd been this entire thing which had been cooked up. All the allegations were later proved to be false. But then you see who reacts to an inquiry, and 6 months later you're told, and when you exonerate, you say, "Haan, wo tumne exonerate to karna hi tha." But they got the army out of Kangla Fort so that the Imphal area itself did not have any interference. And even moving the army out of Kangla Fort that time and pushing them into the peripheries of Imphal had created a big problem. You definitely need ASPA in an area like this, because you see, today people are so politically aware, and you also have this deadly gadget. I mean, this is in everybody's hand. आप किसी को भी कुछ दिखा दो, everybody can. And for one of the biggest problems we are facing, which you are also fully aware of, is this information war. I mean, everybody's at it, and you especially the armed forces become very vulnerable, because once they go into a particular area, there are always going to be all kinds of allegations and this, that, and our system is such that we have to investigate those allegations. You can't have a situation like this. In fact, removing ASPA, the people in power at that time in Assam Rifles, etc., had fought it tooth and nail, saying, "Come on, you can't just tie our hands like this." And I think some sort of an ordinance or something should be passed, because you have to get serious about the issues in this area.
So you're saying Parliament needs to pass an ordinance to restore AFSPA cover in Manipur in the pockets that don't have it presently?
I would do it with my eyes closed, yes.
Do it with your eyes closed, restore the AFSPA cover, this at a time when the Assam Rifles is being targeted. Now, I want to play out for you, Kunal, a disturbing clip, but it's important for people like you to draw national attention, government attention to the fact that this is happening to our soldiers. They're being asked to show which community they belong to. Take a look at this.
सौरभी गगोई कहाँ से आया है? अच्छा, ये रेजिमेंट क्या है? घर रेजिमेंट का नाम क्या है? बोलो। CMP बेटा ये गलत है। माँ पूछिए ना प्लीज। नहीं, आप फोटो भी दीजिए। आधार कार्ड दिखाइए। नहीं, हमारा आधार कार्ड वैसे आपको देख के भी पता लग गया कि नहीं आपको पता लग गया। आधार कार्ड दिखाइए। पता लगने के बाद आप क्यों कर रहे हैं ऐसे? अब आप आसानी से भी कुछ नहीं
Aadhaar card दिखाइए. Yeah, and the soldier is trying patiently, politely to reason with her. "Ab mat kariye, ma'am, ab mat kariye." And you're asking the soldier of the Indian Army to show Aadhaar card. I mean, it is, it just makes my blood boil. But go ahead, Kunal.
Exactly what I mean. I mean, people are politically very aware today. They have cameras. Everything can be distorted. It's all part of the information war. You can't get into this kind of a thing. You have to give the army. If you're calling in the army as your last round of, even getting a magistrate with you all the time, sometimes you cannot. Believe me, I've operated with these boys. They are one thing about the Indian Army, Barkha, and you also know it because you've also been covering this for a long time. There is an inherent decency about our boys, which they then use against them. Now, I'll just take your attention back to Kashmir. When POWs used to be taken, I mean, POW is the wrong word. When some of these militants would be captured. In fact, the SOP that time was that the women would come out of their houses, expose their breasts, close in on the army, and kill the soldiers by squeezing their testicles. I mean, these kind of tactics have been used in the past year. And then you talk around, sit around saying, no, we couldn't open fire because we didn't have a magistrate around. Etc. We've got casualties on our blooming hand here. You can't. It's not acceptable. Once you're calling in the army, you please let them function.
Yeah. What about the other end of the political spectrum, where the Kuki women are now blocking the police. They're saying, Army, aap please jaiye, police, aap please jaiye. Now, the police in turn is now, not in this case, but is in a separate case, has filed an FIR. The police, in my opinion, has no authority right now in Manipur whatsoever. Even the Chief Justice of India has said as much, right? Now, how does the military respond right now, other than this public statement when they're facing an FIR? And how do we respond to this complete polarization where these women, the women you just saw on your screen, have actually been sitting on a 60 by 20 patch of a highway just resolutely for days saying, "Hum police ko nahi aane denge. Army welcome, police jao."
You see, the Kukis and the Nagas, by and large, when I was shooting for the Northeast trilogy, I was there now 10 years ago. And one thing I did notice was, like, even if you went to Senapati or you went anywhere to, the hill areas, the Assam rifles by the Kukis, the Nagas, whether they were Tanguls or they were, any other Zos or whatever, they would always welcome the Assam rifles with open arms. In fact, I remember somebody coming to me and giving me a petition because they didn't have a COB, a post of Assam rifles in their village. They said, "What do you want?" They would either ask for a football field or an Assam rifles post in their village, because it used to change the entire. The equation of the hill people has always been far more trusting with the Assam rifles than with the plains people for various reasons, especially that whole business around the Kagla Fort thing. The Assam rifles had been very badly maligned in the Imphal Valley, and all these things leave the sky. You don't forget them. I mean, populations remember कि हाँ कुछ हुआ था, Assam rifles था, हमने उसको वहाँ से हटाया, ये वो. Uस time you may have succeeded for whatever reason you wanted to, but now today when the music is playing, I mean, you don't know what the hell to do. So
Yeah.
there's always been a lot more empathy towards the. These people have always trusted the hill people. I found were always more
Trusting of the military.
towards the military than the and mainly because of all the trouble around the Kangla fort at that time, if you remember what it was.